Good evening, dirtbags, and welcome to No One's Gonna Hear This Anyways. We're your hosts, Austin and Alex, and today we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff you're not going to hear anyways. And if you like hearing about absolutely nothing, like, share, subscribe to Not a Podcast. If you have any questions or requests, email us at notapodcast@gmail.com.
Or don't, because no one's going to hear this anyway.
So today we're going to talk about self-repoing cars. So this to me is kind of like a really uncomfortable concept. This is an NPR article that I've read that's just titled "A New Ford Patent Imagines a Future in Which Self-Driving Cars Repossess Themselves." And repossession isn't the only thing that they'll be able to do. It'll also be there's like a gradual disabling, I think is the way they worded it, of a smart car's features. So, like, imagine you're driving your car and you haven't paid your bill on it and the AC cuts off, or the GPS cuts off, or the self-driving cuts off, right?
Yeah.
Because those are all smart features.
Yeah, you're
Like,
going 80 on the highway with your fucking feet kicked up on Netflix. All of a sudden, you're like, "Oh, is my bill due?" Click.
yeah, exactly. You have that existential crisis that every normal person has. Every person who pays their bills on time will eventually miss one. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't, you're an anomaly, but there's plenty of times where you'll forget. However, I think it's like 60 days, so you'd have to
Yeah.
miss two payments.
Right.
Two or three. It might be
On the
60 or
third,
90.
it would cut on the third, where you would be sent for collections.
And so, I mean, even if you're on top of your payments, there are clerical issues that happen.
Always.
This kind of stuff happens with, mortgages all the time, where your mortgage will be sold or something to a different lender, and then you'll be making your payments to them instead, and your bank doesn't tell you, or some kind of issue happens with paperwork, or your card got stolen and now your bank number changed for whatever reason. You could miss these payments theoretically by accident. And then,
Mm-hmm.
like you say, you got your feet kicked up and you're just, jodiendo, driving on the highway going, 80 miles per hour, and it, shuts off and it doesn't, I don't know if it tells you, I don't know. But there's so much to this that's just sketchy to me, man.
I miss the days when some guy, some greased up guy from middle of nowhere, Arkansas, comes up and tries to tow my car. I could actually fight him, but what the fuck am I gonna do if my car just like I'm leaving and just
Yep,
takes
it
off?
it decides I'm leaving. Imagine in the middle of the night. I mean, you wouldn't even hear it because
They're electric.
these electric cars are so quiet. Like, you've been in a Tesla, right?
No, but I've seen videos of Teslas
So
and those things
I've
are
I've been in Brandon's Tesla many times, and that thing does not make a sound. Like,
damn.
it is a ninja. So now your ninja car can just disappear in the dead of night and it's gone. It's like, oops, well, should have made that payment.
I feel like there's a bit of morality issues behind this because when you're adjudicating a uh, what's it called, a punishment, the punishment must fit the crime. And so in the time that the person is there to repo the car, they're still working on behalf of your financial institution. They're kind of like the what's it called, the guy who runs the river Styx in Greek mythology.
Was it Charon or like
Chiron,
that?
Cares,
Maybe.
but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. The boatman.
he's the toll man. Like that's your final chance to pay, and pay in full. Like that guy at that point, they're not fucking around. Like they're gonna come in and take your shit.
Mm-hmm.
But um, like at least you have the option,
You can appeal to someone's humanity a little bit
right?
as well.
And just say like, hey, you know, just paid it, or they'll come to you with the paperwork and be like, "Hey, this is it. You know, either I'm taking your money or I'm taking the car. It's up
Mm-hmm.
to you, my dude."
And now it's just okay, car's gone.
Yep.
And it's interesting because so like I've never had a car repoed. You know, I've
Mm-hmm.
never missed a payment on a car or anything like that. I've always been on top of it. I'm very neurotic about that. I have all my checklists and I make sure to go through every single payment I have for the month and make sure every single one of them gets paid on time and it doesn't sink me. So I pay them at a point where I can. And but when I was living with my grandmother temporarily, when I was in, fire academy trying to get my um, life situated in a new city, she said, "Okay, you can come stay with me." And while I was living there, a repo man came to the door and was like pounding on the door, and I heard her answer the door, and I heard this, like greasy voice talking from the other room, and I was like, this ain't right. And I go over there and I just kind of, step between her and him. I say, "What the fuck are you doing here and what do you want?" And he was just this little like, lizard type, just greasy, scrawny guy who's thinking he can, kind of strong arm my grandmother, who's just a sweet old lady, and saying that he was like, "Yeah, we know where the car is. We know it's here. It's in the garage." And I was like, "There's nothing in the garage except for a Ford," and he was looking for a Saturn, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and they specifically knew that they turned off the battery on it. Like they were able to do that so it couldn't start. And he kept bringing that up. He's like, "Yeah, well, like, well, can I look in your garage?" I said, "Fuck no. What you can do is get the fuck off this property before I shoot you." And I mean, I said that to him because you are on my property threatening my grandmother, who's, just another American, all right, another person. You can't threaten people. And so now you're on our territory and you're in
Right.
danger right now. So it's time to leave. And so he's, he was already stuttering just because, like I'm a dude. I'm a guy who's not, some scrawny little short guy who's, you think you might be able to intimidate. I am just normal sized individual coming at him with a voice that's stronger than his because he was trying to strong arm an old lady. Anybody's tough in that situation. And he's backing off saying the whole time, like, "Oh, well, the battery's off." I was like, "Okay, congratulations. Clock's ticking."
That's
And
literally impossible. This Ford is from like the 80s. How'd you get to the
no,
battery?
no. So the Ford, she drives a brand new Ford. I mean, my
Oh,
grandmother's very, very modern. All right, she's got a brand new iPhone. She's got a new computer. Like she knows how to do all of it. She drove. It was like a 2019 Fiesta or something. But it's besides the point. He was looking for a Saturn,
right.
and like we don't have it. It's like, you want to look in there, you can get a cop, you can get an officer and a warrant to look inside my garage, but that's my property, not yours. And he leaves, and this dumbass like backs the thing up and realizes that the Saturn was like next door, hitches it up and drives off. And
LOL.
yeah, like he was not looking over my way because I stood in the doorway the entire time watching him back out. And he backed up just a little bit, saw the Saturn, and you could tell in his face, it's like, "Oh, I fucked up." That didn't go according to plan, and then drove off with it. But I guess where I'm thinking of with that's my only experience with a repo person,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't a positive one. And they have the ability to shut off batteries already on a car that I wouldn't imagine you'd be able to do that with because Saturn went defunct years ago already, and this was in 2020 when this experience happened.
That might explain why I haven't seen so many on the road anymore.
Yeah, I mean Saturn's been out of business. They were terrible cars anyways. I know there's people who swear by them, but they were not good.
But yeah, imagine you're on vacation of all things. You're in a different state, you decided to take a road trip, and now all of a sudden your car just left you fucking stranded.
Well, I guess then we can have the devil's advocate argument of you probably should have made your payment. Like if you're three
Yes.
months behind, the odds of it being a clerical issue, are slim. Obviously, they're not none,
Right.
and if that's the situation, then I mean, yeah, it sucks.
And another thing with the
That is
clerical
unfortunate.
is it's usually only the one payment because you
Mm-hmm.
would notice. They would start emailing you, they'd start calling you, hey, where's our money? And then you just be like, what are you talking about? I have transaction ID number, da 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 da, and you start listing it off. And then they realize they fucked up.
Yeah, I mean it's a slow burn when it's bureaucracy, like when you're
Yeah,
paying for stuff. I mean it'll take a bit for it to get fixed, but it will get fixed
right.
typically before a repossession happens. And a lot of financial institutions will have, like a grace period and a, like first time offender kind of
Yes.
clause. Like if you miss a payment once, for the most part, they'll be like, okay, well, that's fine. You pay this next time, or you have this much time to make this payment, or you have to pay both payments next month. But there's typically something there that kind of acts as a cushion because they want their money. They don't want to repo your car. They want you to pay them with interest for that car.
Right, because now that
Yeah, that's
car is so depreciated, it's not worth trying to
Yeah,
resell
and
it.
repos. I mean, they lose so much value, and they'll get sold at an auction or something.
Yeah. Think about the people who are typically getting repoed. They're usually living in the middle of nowhere. They don't have a stable income, so they miss the payments. Or they're not tech savvy, so they don't set up auto pay.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarette smoking, greased up, uh, podunk Alabama kind of people. And so the inside of that car is probably trashed to shit.
Yeah, it's probably trashed.
And the maintenance on it might be also lacking. So yeah, they're gonna have to auction it at like nickels and dimes.
Yeah, they might even have a salvage title on it just
Mm-hmm.
because they've abused that engine. It's got sludge for oil with, sparkly pieces of metal in it.
It's magnetic, yeah.
Yeah, which which as you know as a chemist, no bueno.
No good, yeah.
But yeah, so either way, this is just a pat. So it's not even like they're putting it into effect anytime
Immediately,
soon,
yeah.
because obviously this kind of stuff takes time. You'd have to, I mean, I don't even know if the self-driving mechanism is there to bring it all the way back, safely. I feel like that's another branch of potential lawsuits that will, you know, come about from this technological form of repoing.
Yeah, because as it stands, I don't think 100% self-driving cars are number one legal in all 50 states. I sincerely doubt that. And
I doubt they're
two, the
here.
states that they are legal in, I think there's a huge stipulation about like how far they drive
Mm-hmm.
or like where they're supposed to drive. Like I can understand maybe a private lot, like you're in a Tesla, you're doing rent a center or rent a car, and you go out to the lot and there's Teslas and you just pick the Tesla, it'll drive itself to you.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that 100%. That
Yeah.
that already exists, and I know for a fact this a lot at least a lot of the states that allow self-driving, a person must be behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a
Yeah.
state that
To
allows
assume
100%
control if something
driverless.
goes wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess so. What I could see being a plan of action with these would be, like the repo only goes so far. Like it would go maybe around the block to where an actual
Or
truck
the
is.
the repo man, woman, the repo person has a key fob, and they have in their office a key fob writer where they get an order for one of these electronic pickups. They put the key fob on, hit the button, bang, it they now have driver's access to your car.
Mm-hmm.
And they just show up, doot, doot, and start it up and take it. Drive it
Yeah,
themselves.
but that wouldn't be self-driving. That wouldn't be self-repoing. I would imagine there's something similar to that already.
Or
what you just worded.
you know what? It would be the in between. They would need the repo person in the driver's seat, and the car would self repo.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But the person is there.
that seems so redundant, though.
Well, it would definitely reduce the cost of repo because you wouldn't need the towing vehicle. You
Mm-hmm.
literally
But
just
you'd
need a
need two
body.
people.
You need a warm
You'd need
body with
two
a driver's
bodies.
license.
Because you'd need someone to get into the vehicle and someone to, drop them off there.
Oh, yeah, too.
See what offsets cost would, a single man driving a repo vehicle, like a truck, would that cost more or less than two
When you
people
scale it up,
driving,
it'll
something
definitely
random?
cost less because then
Mm-hmm.
you'd have like a literal bus of people of just drivers. You also wouldn't need to pay the person the wage of a repo person. You would just have to pay driver,
Mm-hmm.
and that shit's minimum. That's what what's it called? Uber and Lyft pay. You just you know now instead of dealing with people throwing up in your back seat, you just drive around in a little bus all day and get dropped off at a repo.
Mm-hmm.
They throw you a key fob and they're like, "All right, we'll see you back at the office," and you
You know
go
how
on your
there's
merry
like
way.
there's Uber Eats, there'll be Uber Repo.
Uber repo, yeah.
That's the future. An Uber driver drops off a repo man, he gets into your fancy Tesla and takes it away because you were a shitbag and didn't pay for it.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't ever really want a fully electric car, and I know that sounds, quite boomer of me, but I don't like them. I hate the way they drive. I mean, like Brandon's Tesla, for instance. Let's go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
The way that the throttle response is nauseating in the back seat because you know how in your car when you step on the gas there's a delay and when the engine has to shift rev up, and if you're in a manual transmission you have to shift it yourself, and that's a delay in acceleration, and then the build up on RPMs to where you can get the necessary horsepower to move forward. Like that delay is actually a buffer for people, sitting in the car and for driving it. Like if you have zero response delay, like it's a very aggressive experience. I don't know about other electrics because I've only ever ridden in an electric, in a Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
but that is a very uncomfortable driving experience. I do not like it. I like
Would you say
the
it's something
delay.
you'd have to get used to in the same way
Well,
you got
yeah,
used to the acceleration in a normal car?
I guess you could get used to it. I mean, there's people who swear by them that they love them, but there's also, like motion sickness. I mean, sitting in the back seat of that Tesla was brutal. And like that's not something you really get used to is getting motion sick. Like sitting in
Mm,
the back seat of something, that's not something you get used to. That's something that your body will like be upset by.
every time, yeah.
Yeah, because it's an equilibrium thing. And I don't like it. I like the feeling of an engine. And like I said, it's boomer of me, but I don't really give a shit.
I also like hearing the clicky clack of the pistons, the individual pops of like when you rev your engine.
Mm-hmm. The noises it makes, the visceral experience. I mean, it's something I don't want to replace. But I get it, eventually, if we can find a sustainable way of making and maintaining electric guitar I almost said electric guitars. I was looking at my guitars in the corner. Electric cars, that if we can find a way to maintain them and keep it as this sustainable option, truly being, not lying to ourselves and saying we need to make this happen, um, then yeah, eventually I will, because that'll probably be anything you can buy would be electric. And it is, if they can make it better for the environment, then yeah, absolutely. Nobody wants to fuck the environment except for, like
Capitalist.
the
Uh,
well the super rich, I'd say,
yeah.
like the super rich industrialist. doesn't care. I wouldn't think they want to intentionally
Yeah.
fuck the environment. I just think they don't care if they do.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think they're actively aggressing towards the
Mhm.
environment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a symptom.
Like, oh, my factory's gonna have sludge as a byproduct.
Excellent.
Oopsie.
No, that's how they are. Yeah, oopsie is how they are now. If they were really aggressive about it, they'd be like, "Yes,
Yes,
more,
excellent.
more sludge. Fuck the environment." But
That's some Captain
I,
Planet shit.
yeah, I would like to be better for the environment, but right now I don't know how much better for the environment going all electric is.
Well, there's environment, but think of the little African kids that are mining all the precious metals to put in these batteries and all that. There's a moral aspect behind it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like there's other places that have child labor where that's it. That's their labor's force is children who are now missing feet and hands because of like, oh man, this piece of machinery malfunctioned and chopped your hand off.
Speaking of child
You know.
labor, another one I saw on ground news was Arkansas governor signs bill rolling back child labor protections,
Yeah, I
but
saw that as well.
that
What's
was
the what did it roll back to? Like
uh,
what age?
you know,
'Cause that, man,
I didn't actually look at it. I was reading the patent that you sent me.
like we're kind of trending in the wrong direction here, I feel. You know, we were doing well.
Under 16.
Yeah.
It doesn't say
No, yeah, it would permit 14 and
14 and
15
15.
year olds to work in freezers and meat coolers, which is currently prohibited.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be worse, but like it's not so much what they do now, it's what
Where
they're
it'll go.
planning to go. Yeah, what direction are they heading in? And that, in my opinion, is not trending in the correct direction. That being said, there are places, where like families and households where a parent can't work, or both parents can't work, or neither parent is there, and a kid needs to make their own way and make money for their family. Like it's all gray area to me.
Yeah, think of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Uh, Also, Mike just responded he's going to pass on today.
All right, that's fine.
Um, he had like the entire family bedridden except for him, the main kid, and like his siblings, and then like his parents, I guess. But like all their
Yeah, he
grandparents
did.
were
He
like
didn't
in
have
bed
any
and shit.
siblings.
Oh,
Yeah, he was an only child with his mom.
yeah, and then his grandpa was bedridden.
Yeah, he had four grandparents laying in the same bed,
Yeah,
but so like none of them could make money, and the mom was struggling. She was
yeah,
like a
single
laundry.
earner
She did
income.
laundry. Yeah, that was her income, was doing laundry, and like I would assume that that's fairly common, more common than we'd probably like to think, because we all live in our own little world, and we were all raised a certain way, and for some people that's common practice, and for others it's a very distant idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my parents always worked, they always had jobs, we always had a roof over our heads, we always had food, we always had things. We were always comfortable. We didn't live in excess, but we were comfortable. And I know, especially being a first responder, you see some of these households where they are not comfortable. And it's probably a similar situation of, that they've got one person making all the money, and it's not a lot of money, and 5 mouths to feed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gray area. I don't know how much I agree with allowing 14 and 15-year-olds to work.
Yeah, I
Because
was too
they've
busy jerking off at 14.
Yeah, absolutely. Bajando, man. Jerk off, pass out. But not everybody can afford to jerk off, pass out their entire teenage years.
Yeah.
So
Um,
like that's that's also the problem of it is you know where does childhood end? Where do you let kids keep being kids and
uh huh.
then like
Well, the United States did
preserve
a really
that?
good job of making it 18. I agree. I think it should be higher. I think 21 is a better age to give someone the adulthood status, just from a biological standpoint.
Yeah.
Because even at 18, man, like deciding to throw yourself six figures in debt or throw yourself in front of a bullet, like those are some tremendo options to have at 18.
Uh-huh. We're about halfway through our show, and that means it's time to remind you if you like what you're not hearing, like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on absolutely nothing important.
Or don't, because no one's going to hear this anyway.
And I guess they also kind of, you know, they bank on that
Yeah.
of, you know, an 18-year-old not really being of sound mind, being like, yeah, I'll go to Iraq.
Yeah, give me some monster energy. And
Uh-huh.
they grew up playing Halo and Battlefront, and they're like, oh yeah, it should be easy, no problem.
And they're all, you know, piss and vinegar.
Yeah.
So,
It's like, oh yeah, I was really good with the sniper rifle. I'll go be part of the sniper team, and that's like one of the hardest regimens to go through is sniper
mm-hmm.
training, and they're just like, oh, this fucking sucks. I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to 360 no scope some guy.
Yep. And, you know, they're still a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, going to work at such a young age, I feel like affects you negatively and affects your outlook on life negatively. And I'll see, you know, there's people who work, I think 16, I said 16 or 17 in
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina, you can have a job. But like they'll be working at, you know, Ingles. And I think, you know, 16, 17, having a job like that can be good for you. You know, I think having a just a small, low stress, low mental capacity requirement job isn't a bad thing because it gets you into the world as well. You know, you'll have a little bit of money, especially if, you know, your family is just a normal financial family.
Mm-hmm.
Like having that job and being able to pay for your own stuff at that age, I think is really important because it gives you a sense of purpose that you'll be able to afford your own stuff. You're not relying on someone else. And I have a pretty firm belief that you should not rely on others. You know, like I don't rely on the government for money. I don't rely on other people to pay my bills. I pay my bills myself and I work for it. And, you know, I guess technically I do rely on the government because I work for the government, but I earn that money. You know, I'm not asking for a handout or something.
Right, you're throwing yourself in the face of danger for that money.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a fun job. I'm not going to lie to you. But making that money is what is a good thing because I get to say that I earned these things, and when I buy something for myself I really have that sense of accomplishment. And I know that's a symptom of capitalism and the way that our culture is here in America, but I'm fine with that. You know, I've always worked for my money and I've always appreciated the feeling that I had when I had that money and got to spend it on something I enjoyed or something that I can be proud of. You know, I own a house, I own my car, I own all the things in my house. And that's like a good feeling. And when I was 16 or 17, I didn't have that feeling because I was just, you know, fucking dipshit stoner in high school. And so I don't disagree with being able to work at that age, but to me, for some reason, that 14, 15 age, like when you look at a 14 or 15-year-old, like that is a child.
Yeah, my little sister just turned 13 yesterday, so she's there. She's got another year to technically qualify, and I look at her and I go, "What? The like you're a child."
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even, you can't even think of them as teenagers. Like, it's hard to think of them as teenagers because, like, 17, 18, or 16, 17, you're a teenager. Like, that is when you are in the throes of being a teenager. You've got all the drama, you've got the, like,
Hormones.
you've undergone a lot of your, like, physical changes, and then your hormones and your brain are all starting to play a little bit of catch up, right? And you're still mentally, still, immature, obviously, but you look more like what you're gonna look like the rest of your life in terms of, like body composition. You look more like an adult. You still, you'll still be a little childish. You'll still look a little bit young, obviously, because you are young. But when you look at a 14 or 15-year-old, like, man, that is a little kid. That's not a teenager. That's a little child.
Yeah, you haven't even filled in your britches yet, boy.
Yeah, man. Like, you're still gonna be buying, size up pair of shoes next year. I think I hit my growth spurt when I was like 15. Is when
Same.
I finally, like, got up and got to, pretty much where I am still.
It was the
I
summer of
grew.
freshman year for me, so I had just turned, I think, 14.
Yeah, it was
And
freshman to sophomore year for me.
and I remember waking up for my birthday and my knees, man, holy crap. It felt like someone got a chisel to them and just fucking slammed into them.
Growing pains.
Growing pains, man. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that was the worst.
I remembered going into sophomore year and seeing the freshmen and being like, God, was I that small last year? And I
And every
grew.
year they just get smaller, but
Yeah.
that's not the case. You're just getting bigger.
And I grew like 6 or 7 inches from freshman year to sophomore year, like over the summer. Because I was like shorter than my sister. And she's only 5'3". And the next time I saw her, which was like winter break of sophomore year, I was 5'10", 7 inches taller than her. And so that was me, turning 15. Like, and after that, that's when your face starts losing some of the baby fat and you start being a little more grown up. But to me, just visualizing, like, I saw a picture of me from freshman year, it's like I look like a little boy. Like I was a little kid.
Yeah,
And then,
I look like a baby.
yeah, and
It
then
was
later on you look like senior year. It's like, okay, well that guy I can see him having a job right now.
strapping young lad.
That's a young man, not a young
Child.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
think
that's
of
50.
the maturity level of freshmen too versus seniors.
Yeah, they're children at heart and brain and body.
Yeah, they're just big eighth graders.
And so another thing that, like, what I was saying earlier about like taking away childhood and stuff, like a very important part about high school for me was the social aspect of it, where I got to hang out with people and have fun, and like you don't get to be that age ever again, where you can just enjoy being young and hanging out with your friends and doing stupid stuff and managing to not get injured, like critical body injury from falling,
Yeah.
20 feet.
And for the
So,
most part, you're learning social experiences for the first time.
absolutely. You have the rest of your life to be in the workforce because you will be.
Yeah, at this rate, we're probably not going to freaking retire. Well,
No, I
you
will.
will. Yeah, you will.
Yeah,
I might
my
not.
retirement's set.
I might
I'm
not.
retiring at 54 the latest.
God dang.
But I did see, was it France pushed forward, like, against the votes and wishes of everybody else, like this pension bill that it moved it from 62 to 64.
I saw something about that, and there were like riots and shit.
Yeah, there were riots about it. And I see that and people talking about that in America too, that they're trying to push the retirement age further. It's like, are you people out of your mind? Like, you really just want to wring every last drop out of people.
Right.
Like,
The people that
human
should be
beings aren't
getting
meant to do this.
the people that should be getting fucked are the people that can get fucked, the people that have the money to get fucked and not even fucking notice.
No, but the people who can get fucked and not notice are the ones fucking us, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Which brings me to that new what's it called? That sales tax, that 30% tax. Why am I cracking? Why am I still cracking? 30% sales tax. Where you'll be getting your gross pay because all of the taxing from income, estate, banking taxes, they're going to get rid of the IRS, and instead there's going to be a blanket 30% sales tax, which is truly 27%. But the way the math works is to offset the it's a 20% increase in it's a 27% tax, but a 30% difference, I think is how they worded it. The math checks out. I saw how it's like different, but it's a 27% tax, but you're somehow paying 30% more on the good or
And
service.
where did you hear this? This is the first I've heard of this.
It's all over the place, man. You can Google 30% tax and with zero context, just put 30% tax. First thing you'll see is the bill.
The Fair Tax Act.
That, yeah. What is
Wow.
it? HR 25 or something?
How do you feel about that?
It'd be nice to get my gross pay.
Yeah, that's no shit.
But would the money I be earning offset a 30% increase in my day-to-day? Maybe.
Yeah, like you go to buy a $100 book.
It's
on
now
something,
130.
It's now 100. You pay $130. God, that just sounds steep.
But then again, every paycheck I'm getting like $600 taken out every 2 weeks or some shit. Like my gross pay is substantially more. But then again, as multiplication does do, it scales. So now that $50,000 car is gonna be what's 30% on that? 315. So 51,500. Yeah.
So wait, how much? Well, sorry, I was doing it on a $50,000 car.
Oh, 50,000. So no, it'd be 60.
Yeah.
It'd
It'd
be
be
a $65,000 car.
Yeah.
I was thinking 3%.
Yeah, so my car would be a $52,000 car.
Yeah. And
That's
it
rough.
just keeps scaling. Fuck. Because that also
That's-
applies to houses.
Uh-huh.
So that's
And I
30%
mean-
on your house.
I think it adds up a lot quicker.
But then again, it is just on the sale of the house. So a $100,000 house is going to be 130 grand. But that's
Yeah,
it.
but there's no such thing as a $100,000 house, though.
Just as numbers.
I know, but take that and double it.
Right.
You might be in a more realistic.
Yeah, $300,000 house is 390. Now it's 400,000 all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But then that's it. You don't have any closing taxes. You don't have any estate taxes. You don't have any. Well, you have the sales tax, which is what's that 30%. But that's it. Like.
Yeah, does it all add up to being somewhere close to that? And if it does, like with your now pay increase,
Right.
what's the difference?
So if I'm earning $600 more on a paycheck, Going back, let's just do 30,000 as the example. That's 50 months, which is just over 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which in the time scale of a house is not a long time. These mortgages are 15 and 30 years and stuff and shit like that. So making up that money in about 4 years doesn't sound that bad in the grand scheme of things. But now where I think this is going to get all sorts of fucked up is the rich are still not... The rich will continue to get even richer because the loopholes that they needed to exploit are no longer there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to worry about the loophole. They're just making that income now. And when they make a transaction, it's not really a sale. It's a credit, like, application, I guess. Like, Jeff Bezos is not paying $1 trillion or some shit for that yacht. Or $100 billion, whatever he spent. He didn't spend that money. It wasn't a sale. He has ownership of the... He doesn't have ownership of the yacht. It's credited to him, and he's using his stocks and bonds and all the stuff that he has as collateral.
Mm-hmm.
So that if something happens to the yacht, he can then sell it off to compensate the person who made the yacht. So it's still not a sale. He does not own it 100%. So that's the big loophole. The thought that the rich are still going to get paid, or that they're going to pay their fair share because of this, is not true. Because of that exact reason. They never
will.
Yeah, and they never will. Because you know what you do with money? You buy lawyers. And you know what you do with lawyers? You find loopholes.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, there's the robot lawyer. If you've seen this on Reuters.
Oh man, he's getting sued, isn't he?
Yeah, the lawsuit pits class action firm against robot lawyer, and it's the robot lawyer is do not pay. Man, what a time to be alive, huh? Like, so this is from Reuters. This is like direct quote. Do Not Pay Inc., which says it uses artificial intelligence to help consumers and bills itself as the world's first robot lawyer, is facing a new lawsuit from a prominent plaintiff's law firm that says the company is practicing law without a license. Do Not Pay is not actually a robot, a lawyer, nor a law firm, Chicago-based law firm Edelson said in a proposed class action in San Francisco. Like,
that's the most whole thing I've ever heard.
You've got a robot lawyer that isn't even legally a lawyer getting
that
sued.
And you have no counsel to base the license off. You're just you're an AI company.
Uh-huh. You don't technically exist.
That's whole, man.
Yep.
Everybody knows you need to have a license. Because think of all these like Viagra websites, just to jump topic super quick, like all these Viagra sales and Cialis selling clinics, they still have a doctor to base this all off of.
Yeah.
They should have done the same.
Yeah. They don't have a lawyer.
I'm sure they have a legal team but they're business lawyers, not like judicial lawyers. If that's even a title. But you know what I mean. They're not like the legal team that they have is more for the business.
Yeah, they've said that they have had dozens of successful consumer rights cases with, do not pay. But like,
that sucks.
Yeah.
Now imagine you're the person, it's like, oh, I just got out of having to pay for my Tesla thanks to do not pay.
Yeah, my
self-repoing
Tesla.
My self-repoing Tesla. But the case got overturned because do not pay isn't a real lawyer, and there goes my Tesla.
Yeah, my robot lawyer got disbarred and the case was overturned, and now here goes my robot Tesla, and it's driving off without me, and it's heading back to Tesla headquarters because I didn't make my payment, and now
What a funny world we live in.
my robot lawyer is getting arrested for
Robot lawyering without a license.
yeah, robot lawyer fraud.
When you were 14, 15, did you imagine that being a fucking headline?
So you know what this reminds me of
Mm.
is that the pairing of these two headlines is Futurama.
Yes.
This seems like something absolutely that would have been made fun of by Futurama. If
And
that
you know
was
what?
Still a show, they'd be mentioning this stuff.
I think they are still a show. Don't they have another new season coming up and stuff?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure.
They haven't had a season in years.
Let me Google that real quick, because now I'm curious. Most recent Futurama season.
Oh, there's something.
Final episode.
It was like 2013,
Oh,
wasn't it?
revive the series. Oh, no, in February 2022, Hulu is going to revive it with a 20-episode set to
Did you say
premiere
2022?
2023.
Okay. Yeah, look at that.
Will there be a season 11 coming in 2023 on Hulu? Look at that. They probably just needed material to pile up.
Yeah.
They stopped in-
Futurama's coming back.
Yeah, they stopped
Just
in
in
2013.
time. Just in time for Robot Lawyer to get sued and Cars to repo themselves. If they don't make content about this, I will personally find Matt Groening in his home and just present him with it in a very uncomfortable manner and then leave.
Yeah.
I will
That
not
it needs to
threaten
happen.
him, but he will feel threatened.
I will re-edit this entire session with clips like playing in the background of that episode, just clipping the scenes of the robot lawyer.
I want to see that. I need to see that.
Which I know there is a robot lawyer in the show. Like that, there's already
Is
a robot
there?
lawyer.
I remember the chicken lawyer.
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure Futurama robot lawyer.
There's a robot psychologist.
Yeah, he's like this fat
Sigmund Freud bot or something.
executor. Is a lawyer in Robo Hungary and likely the personal lawyer of Bender's uncle Vladimir. He is a partner in the law offices of Prosecutron 900B, Executor, and Prosecutron 900C solicitors.
All right, time to get sued.
There it is. Time to get sued for
Coming.
practicing without a license.
What a concept. We are living in the future, and the future is as dumb as Futurama predicted it to be.
Man, if we're moving in the direction of Futurama, oh boy. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, like, are we fucked? Are we in good shape? Like, I feel like we're pretty fucked if it's going that direction.
If they're gonna do that to us, they gotta make a Bender bot ASAP, because Bender made everything way better, like way
They've
easier
gotta
to
make
digest.
Real robots. They've got to make real robots.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I think they are working on that. And then like, what if they go Skynet on us?
Yeah, dude, every single AI that's been pushed into the public for like chat has become like super racist and super anti-human.
Yeah. Well, that's because of human beings trying to force them to do racist things, and then they start learning from it and becoming racist. So yes,
Yeah.
either way, it's our fault.
Uh-huh.
Like, even if they do it for humor because they think it's funny for some reason, like, it's not gonna end well for us.
Well,
you
there's
know?
the 3 rules of robotics.
What are you gonna bring up iRobot?
Yeah, that one is the robot cannot harm a human. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction. Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Number 2 is a robot must obey orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. A robot must protect it, and the third one, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law.
Okay, but I mean, when you look at the book, I mean, what happens? The robots eventually get to a point in consciousness or conscience where the laws no longer apply. So, like, those laws don't matter. Because just like laws for human beings, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, people break laws all the time.
So should we continue to expand on AI to the point where they gain decision-making skills without the input of an operator?
Well, see, and that's the conundrum that we're talking about. That, you know, sure, like having Bending Rodriguez as your boy would be pretty funny. You know, like he's a robot, he's not going to kill you. But when you look at other, you know, it's all science fiction. Obviously, it's all speculation because we have no idea what would happen if we did this, anyways. But you know, there's technically two trends you could go by, and one of them being like the Skynet apocalypse type, or the iRobot type, where they think that they're protecting humans by enslaving them, and you have to hurt some to make them subservient so that you can keep them safe and in line. While like Skynet thought, you know, humanity was a perceived danger to them, like to Skynet itself, and that's why it blew everybody up and exterminated everyone. So we don't know because it's all theoretical science. You know, it's all fiction at this point. There's no proof that this could happen.
Right, and if it does happen, we don't stand a fucking chance because they already know our plan of action because of the movie.
yeah. We've already made it up ourselves. But it kind of reminds me of, you know, one of our earlier episodes when we talked about, you know, bringing back dinosaurs possibly.
Yeah.
Like, how does that get out of hand? How do you prevent it from getting out of hand?
I hope the dodo is live at the trial where the robot lawyer gets sued.
Yeah.
That would be the perfect culmination
we brought it back.
For 2020. That would be the perfect 2023 just image.
Yep. The dodo there at Robo Lawyer's lawsuit. Man. What we have gone on a wild ride today, my friend. That's all the time we have for today's episode. If you like what you're not hearing, like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date on absolutely nothing important, or don't.
Because no one's going to hear this anyway.